And by the way, one reason why our face is covered is we are genuinely scared for any type of revenge and our own family safety.
All right. Our next case is Ms. Cobb. Ms. Cobbs, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
My name is Carolyn Cobbs, number 100118.
All right, and you have counsel with you today. Sir, would you introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, good morning, members of the board. My name is Stanislav Moroz. That's Stanislav, and my last name is Moroz.
Thank you. Thank you for spelling that. I appreciate it. I
No
still
problem.
may not be able to say it, but thank you. And let me just acknowledge the folks who are also here in support on Zoom. We have the Parole Project, Mr. Blake, Jason Core also on Zoom, who is in favor representing the victim. At LCIW, we have I'm sorry, I can't, Ms. Lloyd, granddaughter, would you pronounce your first name?
Hajime.
Hajime, okay, I'm sorry. Candace Lloyd, here with us in Baton Rouge, Emily Bear, Carolyn Lefwich, Peggy Harrell, Ronald McGee, Demetri Moore, Cheryl McGee, Angela Gayring, Vincent Lloyd, Dessa Borders, Brandon Matthews, Ethan Matthews, Christy Sheremy, Farah Addison, Brandon Matthews, Patricia Matthews, Sabrina Monaco, and Kasana Duran. Thank y'all for being here. We do have opposition on Zoom. We have Liz Core and Lance Core, as well as the DA's office, Ms. Tracy Barbera, and they'll be speaking at the appropriate time. First, Ms. Cobbs, let me read some identifying information into the record. So you are here today seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in the 19th Judicial District in East Baton Rouge Parish in October 1982. You received a life sentence for a second-degree murder conviction. Ms. Cobb, is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am, it's correct.
Okay. So take a moment, Ms. Cobb, before we hear from your guests. What did you do to land in prison? What have you done since you've been in prison that would make us believe you're a worthy candidate for favorable consideration today?
Well, ma'am, I decided to get a divorce, and I hired Mr. George Core to help me to get a divorce. During the time came that we were to go to court to get a divorce. I was before the judge, and the judge said that permanent custody and care of my children was to be given to my husband. And at that time, ma'am, I was shocked. I didn't understand how that could be. And so I left the courtroom, and I went about to have that judgment changed. And I went to various law offices, but no one was willing to take the case. And so, ma'am, I went back to Mr. Core's office, and I confronted Mr. Core. I asked him why. I pulled out the gun, ma'am, and I shot Mr. Core. I'm so sorry about that. should not have done that, and that was not the thing to do. I shot Mr. Core.
All right, so tell us about your time in prison. What have you done there?
Well, ma'am, I come here February 1st, 1983. And I've tried to be a model prisoner. I been in some self-help programs since I've been here. I've taken Celebrate Recovery, and it's been a help. They're teaching us that we're not able to change our lives on our own, that we need help, and that God is our highest power, and it teaches us that we must seek God for our help, our hang-ups, our hurts, our bad habits. I've taken Sisters Keepers. Sisters Keepers taught us about the fact that we didn't have to put up with abusive relationships. Sisters Keepers taught us that that there are resources and contacts that we can make during abusive situations, and it taught us about the various signs of early abuse. I've taken the Victims Impact, and Victims Impact help us to walk into our victims' shoes. It helped us to understand that our crime also impacts the neighborhood, the community, and it taught us how the victim felt, what the impact was for our victims. Ma'am, I've been in classes in culinary arts. I took culinary arts, and it taught us about cooking and about food preparations, and we had courses in soups, sauces. We had courses in baking. It taught us how to bake, and we had courses in cake decoration. It taught us about stocks, taught us about meat and different cuts, taught us how to prepare certain dishes. It taught us about cold food preparations.
That sounds like an informative class. We're going to move on. We're going to have some specific questions for you in a few minutes. But
Yes.
next we'd like to hear from Warden Thomas. Maybe you can summarize that for us, please.
Yes, ma'am. So Ms. Cobbs is a minimum 3 trustee here at the facility. She's low risk and low need score. Her last write-up was in 2020. Like I said, she is a minimum, but just due to age and, not as young and moving about, she works in our dorm, just helping out cleaning and just kind of mentor some of the other ladies that are new to transfer in and transition in. But I know she went into a little bit of detail, and I do think probably Mr. Stas will go into a few other things that she's participated in while she's been here. But if she is given a favorable outcome today, Mr. Blake will go over. She is a candidate for parole project, so I know Mr. Blake will go over the specifics there.
Okay, thank you very much. We have there at LCIW, Candace, who would like to speak. We'd like to hear from her.
Good morning to the honorable members of the board. My name is Candace Matthews. I'm 48 years old. I'm Carolyn Cobbs' daughter, married with 2 kids. One is in the Air Force, the other one is in college that's here with me today. I'm here to speak on behalf of my mother, Carolyn Cobbs. Despite her incarceration, my mom has been the loving support my entire life, nonstop. Even 40 years, although she's been here 40 years, she's still been that constant love and devotion person in my life and in my children's life. Most recently, I've been diagnosed with an uncurable red blood cancer, and my mom would constantly call me after appointments, after treatments. She tried to research to see what can help me after my treatments, but she's always been there for me, nonstop, through this whole situation. I know my mom is deeply remorseful for what she has done, for what pain she caused the victim's family. And for that, I'm sorry. She's always, for decades, have expressed her actions to me and my brother about how sorry she is that she did this. And if granted release, she will be home with a loving family, a supportive family. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
And thank you for your remarks. We appreciate hearing from you. We also have in support that wants to speak Mr. Jason Core on Zoom.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, I'm here today to humbly and earnestly request clemency for Carolyn Cobbs. This is not a request made lightly, nor is one meant to overlook the gravity of her actions. Instead, is an appeal to recognize the extraordinary growth, transformation, and humanity that she has demonstrated during her years of incarceration, and the healing and the closure of her clemency means to me, the son of the victim, George Emmett Core in this case. I do believe in the concept of paying one's debt to society, and Ms. Cobbs has paid her debt and now longs for the chance to reunite with her family and give back to her community in meaningful ways. I would like to be able to facilitate that. I don't want to be responsible for keeping a family apart any longer. Her children and grandchildren are waiting for her. They see in her not only a mother and grandmother, but a source of guidance, love, and stability that their lives have been missing. Granting her clemency would not only restore Ms. Cobbs' freedom, but it would also strengthen a family that has long awaited her return. I ask you to consider the full measure of her humanity, Ms. Cobbs' humanity, the struggles she has overcome, the positive changes she has made, and the hope she now carries for the future. Clemency is an act of justice tempered with compassion, and Ms. Cobbs has shown through her actions, her words, and her unwavering commitment to growth that she is worthy of this mercy. I believe that continuing to keep her in prison does not serve justice any further. She has been punished, she has paid her debt, and she has used her time to truly transform. Granting her clemency would not erase what happened, but it recognized the humanity in her and the possibility of redemption. It would also allow me, as the son of the man she harmed, to show that forgiveness is healing. Holding on to anger alone does not heal. Forgiving Ms. Cobbs is a means of closure for me and will allow me to bring a measure of positivity back into the world. My mother, Carolyn Leftwich, is also in person in Baton Rouge at this hearing, and she staunchly advocates for Ms. Cobbs' release as well, having written a letter to this effect on her behalf. And so for these reasons, I respectfully ask you to grant clemency to Carolyn Cobbs so that she may step forward into the next chapter of her life, not as a prisoner defined by her past, but as a woman who has paid her debt, ready to contribute and eager to live out her remaining years in service to her family and her community. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and your commitment to justice.
Thank you, Mr. Core. We do have the letter of support from Ms. Leftwich, along with a card that she wrote today in support. We also have Emily Bayer, a green card in support. That is Mr. Core's sister. She says, Ms. Cobb made an awful choice 43 plus years ago that forever changed my family. My brother lost his father that day. Her children lost their mother. I believe that she has served her time and is no risk to society, and my family would like to see her return to her family. Thank you all for being here. But we do have some opposition today on Zoom that we'd like to hear from. We have, let's see, we have Liz Core and Lance Core, who are both, I believe, in the same location. So we'd like to hear from you folks.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yes.
Great. My name is Lance Sterling Core. I'm the younger brother of the murdered victim, George Jimmy Core Jr. I'm the uncle of Jason, which I am estranged from and amazed to hear his side of this story. He's never attended the hearings or the trial 40 plus years ago. And we would have had a third person here who is a mental health counselor by the name of Brant Hardy, who is going to talk about recidivism, which you all fine people already know so much about. On behalf of my family, we beg this board to deny Ms. Cobb's commutation. And by the way, Ms. Leftwich was a divorce from my brother when this all took place. So she was not his wife. Let's be clear about that. My brother was a pillar of the Baton Rouge community, being one of the first lawyers to advertise, and he also ran for sheriff in the 1970s. And by the way, one reason why our face is covered is we are genuinely scared for any type of revenge and our own family safety from her or anybody else on her team. At all the other hearings, and this is about the fourth or fifth one, we've always been in person. Again, this is about the fourth time we've had to retry her for this offense. I would gladly meet yearly for the same opportunity. I just want to remind the board that we had over 40 letters in opposition, and I could have produced a lot more. And I can't thank the victim services people for all their fine efforts and y'all's efforts as well. We feel it'd be such a slap in the face to the judicial process to commute this sentence after all the incredible hard work by so many dedicated people, such as the jury. This was a jury trial. A young detective, now DA, we all know him, Mr. Hiller Moore, and the prosecutors is John Sinkfield, who came out of retirement to work with Governor Landry now, plus all the judges. Ms. Cobbs paints a really pretty picture, and you people don't know a lot of the facts of the trial. But let me just highlight a few that's critical. First of all, Ms. Cobbs never gave up the 38 caliber handgun and never revealed her accomplice drove away the getaway car. This is probably a detail my nephew doesn't even know about. In addition, the level of premeditation was extensive. It had to cover weeks. She was well known, obviously, like she said, by my brother and his full-time secretary. So she planned the murder carefully by making an appointment with a temporary secretary that was on duty at the time. So this took a lot of forethought and intelligence. She assumed a name, not her name, so she could disguise herself, and had a hit list of other attorneys to harm. I bet you my family doesn't know that part. After filling out some needed paperwork, she entered my brother's office and, like she said, shot him in the chest dead. Then she fled in that awaiting car. Remember, she had an accomplice, with this that she never revealed, nor that handgun. So she fled in the awaiting car. She had plenty of time to change her mind and back out of it. So this was premeditation of the highest degree. She was not a 16-year-old teenager hopped up on hormones, but a 28-year-old grown woman. I believe she had a criminal record before the murder, and please notice the severity and number of write-ups as an inmate. It's remarkable how she's all of a sudden remorseful. At every hearing we've been to, she has shown no remorse and at times acted maniacal. The biggest reveal at the last hearing was a question that the pardon board then asked her, "Are you remorseful for your actions?" And she replied in a strong, clear voice, "No, I would do it all the same." He had it coming. He had it coming. That statement says it all. And I bet you that's something my family doesn't know about because they don't participate. She's a cold-blooded monster, premeditated killer that had no remorse and the will, the capabilities, and the intellect and the desire to harm herself and others if allowed to be released in this community. I truly believe that. She's only a few years older than me. She has plenty time to live. We also feel the amount of time has zero to do with the release. It's only been 40 years. That was yesterday to me. I think about this every day. So can you guarantee me and my family, if she's released, she will not harm herself or others? I think not. And the only way to really do that is to keep her behind bars. Look, I'm all for second chances. And I can be for a second chance for violent offenses, but this is not a violent offense. This is very much a violent offense with major premeditation involved and a hit scenario. Where's my brother's second chance? I know some people will say, oh, the penal system in Louisiana is overcrowded, but I guarantee you it'll never be overcrowded enough to not have a place for people like her. And this is the first time that I've seen her children there. She's never had much family support, if any, as far as I remember. And I know a lot of people say what they need to come out for their well-being, their mental health, and to interact with the community and be with their family because their family needs them so much. Well, where's her family been for the first 40 years? Okay. Nevertheless, in conclusion, please do not commute this sentence. If it is granted, she is under 2nd Edwards Act 122, just a hop, skip, and a jump to a full pardon. She is young with many years to live. So please give us all the peace of mind we deserve, all of us, and deny this commutation. Stay the course and give us what we have been promised. Honestly, the best thing probably for her and for everybody, if she's been so helpful in prison system, is to stay there and help those people for the rest of her natural life and let us go on and again, give us what we bargained for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Core. Now, is Liz with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, could we hear your statement, please? Could you be brief? I'm sorry to ask you that. But we are
Certainly. I really don't have too much to add. My husband's speech was quite full of facts. I attended every hearing with my deceased mother-in-law, Marvine Core, the mother of the victim, George Emmett Core Jr. She had lost her mother the year before, 2 years before. Then her husband had died. Emmett lived down the street from her and was killed the following year. We attended every hearing. As my husband said, Ms. Cobbs never showed any remorse. She never, as he said, I was a witness to her saying that she would have done it all over again. And as we left as my mother-in-law shared her story at the last hearing, she said, I don't know if I'll be here if she tries to get out again. And that's when I pledged that I would be in her stead. As we were leaving, a very handsome man stopped us in his full military dress uniform and said, "Thank you to us for being at the hearing, as he was her son, and he would not be the man he is today if he was involved in her life." He was deployed at Desert Storm in 92 at the first hearing, and I guess in subsequent hearings. But that did give us some comfort that our work was not for naught.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate hearing from you. Before I hear from the DA's office in East Baton Rouge, Mr. Morrows, we'd like to hear your presentation.
Yes, thank you so much, Board Chair Renatza. I did also want to mention that Mr. Brandon Matthews, who's Ms. Cobb's son, he's present in Baton Rouge, and I believe he was one of our speakers list. I didn't know what the best time to have him speak was, but I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
Yeah, I don't have him listed as speaking. It's not indicated that he wishes to speak. So we'll just go ahead and hear your presentation now.
Okay, thank you so much for having me and for giving us the time to have this hearing today. Look, there's absolutely no question that in 1982, Carolyn Cobbs committed a horrible, inexcusable crime. And I think this may not have been mentioned before, but Ms. Cobbs has readily admitted that for decades. She confessed to the case when the police interviewed her. She stipulated to the facts of her crime at trial, and she has tearfully expressed her regret and remorse to her children for decades. Brandon Matthews, I think that was the gentleman that might have just been referred to. That's her son who was in the military, and he wrote in a letter of support that his mother had been talking to him about how awful her actions were throughout his adult life through these 43 years. And as we provided in the video that we sent the board, a video filmed several years ago before Ms. Cobbs had this pardon hearing date, she has been incredibly remorseful, and she's been thinking about the life of Mr. Jason Core and what it was like for him to grow up without a father, as well as the rest of the family, as well as the community, including the legal community in Baton Rouge. Today, it's been over 43 years since Ms. Cobbs committed her crime, and we all know that no amount of time can repair the harm that she did, but there are some real, credible, strong reasons we know that Ms. Cobbs has demonstrated that the crime was a complete aberration from who she is as a human being. Before Ms. Cobbs went to prison, she had never been arrested, 0 times for nothing. And I know this has been really painful for the entire Core family, but there are some things that I just want to make sure that we have accurate. She had never been arrested before. Her parents didn't make it past middle school, but she got a high school education. And after she graduated high school, she got married, and she had 2 children, Brandon and Candace. And she spent her life trying to create a better life for them. She worked, and while she worked, she was also simultaneously going to nursing school so they could have a better life than she did. Before she committed this crime, she unexpectedly lost permanent custody of her 2 children, then 5 and 7 at the time, in an uncontested divorce proceeding where her husband did not show up. And so she was shocked by that. She went to multiple attorneys trying to get her kids back. As you read, one of them took her money, but then didn't do anything. This is not Mr. Core, this is another individual. And when he gave her money back, the check bounced. And on top of that, as you read in the letter from Brandon Matthews, as well as in the letter from Patricia Matthews. Patricia Matthews is the woman that Ms. Cobb's ex-husband married after her. Ms. Cobb's ex-husband was preventing her from even seeing the children. One time when she tried to go see her kids, he slapped her so hard that she almost fell to the ground. And so this is the context in which Ms. Cobbs had a mental breakdown, felt like the world was completely collapsing on her, and committed this horrible crime, which she deeply, deeply regrets. And there are no excuses for what she did, but I do want to just address a couple things that were mentioned that were not anywhere in the transcript of police reports. There was nothing about a getaway driver. There was testimony at the case that she actually went to confront Mr. Core, but I don't think there was any evidence that she knew what was going to happen and knew that she was going to completely lose it and shoot him when she walked into that room. And that doesn't make any excuses for what she did. What she did was wrong, inexcusable, and horrible. But I did review the transcript carefully, and I wanted to provide that information to the board. Since Ms. Cobbs has been in prison, she has grown into a thoughtful and a humble woman of faith. She's a 71-year-old great-grandmother, and her time in prison hasn't always been smooth or easy, but she has addressed the underlying issues that brought her to prison, and she has demonstrated that she will succeed if given a second chance. She's addressed her mental health issues, which are underlying some of the reasons she got to prison. She has seen a counselor regularly. She completed a group cognitive behavioral therapy group for depression. And she's taken classes like Thinking for a Change, which have taught her how to address and deal with life's inevitable challenges in a thoughtful and productive way. We did have Ms. Cobbs evaluated by a psychiatrist just this past July by Dr. McConville. He does work for the state at Elms. He's appointed by courts to do competency proceedings. And he found that she is psychiatrically stable. He found that her depression is being appropriately treated. She expressed her deep remorse to him, and he also found that she was not a danger to herself or others, and that is underscored by her Tiger risk score, which of course the board has and the warden mentioned. To ensure that she's prepared to re-enter society, Ms. Cobbs has dedicated herself to her educational and job skills. In the 1990s, she got a college degree while at LCIW, and she was on the dean's list and got an award for excellent attendance. She also has a diploma in culinary arts, which the board mentioned. And if she is released, she could work at the Thai restaurant where her daughter's best friend owns, and she'd be able to be employed there and work there. And she also has awards for her work as a micrographics technician. So she has really done a lot in prison to better herself. As the board read in the letter from Dr. McConville, Ms. Cobb's memory is declining. She is having some of those issues as she gets older, but despite that, she is still in program. She's still trying to better herself. She's still trying to be the best version of herself she can be. As in addition, beyond all this, Ms. Cobbs has truly centered her family and her faith. Her one main hope is that she have a few years where she can spend some time attending Beacon Light in Baton Rouge with her daughter, where she can help her son grow vegetables on his farm, or where she can volunteer at a food bank in Baton Rouge. Beyond this family support, she obviously has the support of the Parole Project. We didn't ask Mr. Blake to speak just because we know the board is very familiar with the program, but they are willing to offer her full support, including a social worker if necessary. And I know Mr. Blake will answer any questions if the board has that. After serving over 43 years, Ms. Cobbs is one of the longest serving women in Louisiana prisons. And so in recognition of that, in recognition of the fact this might be one of her last chances or possibly her last chance to ever have an opportunity of freedom, we would ask the board to consider commuting her sentence to a term of years with parole eligibility. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Blake on the Parole Project?
I do.
Okay.
Mr. Blake, how long are y'all willing to keep Ms. Cobb if she was to be granted today?
Sir, as long as we need to.
Okay,
We're in
so
a position to do that for.
I mean, so a year is not asking for too much, huh?
No, sir, not at all.
Because I mean, she has mental health problems and all of that. That would have to be looked at. Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you.
Not
All right, let's hear, Ms. Barbera, could we hear from the DA's office, please?
Good afternoon to you, Chairman Renatz, and your fellow board members. I will not repeat the things that Lance Core and his wife stated. I certainly echo their thoughts and their opinions. The one thing that concerned me at the outset of this hearing was when Ms. Cobbs was asked what brought her to being incarcerated. She left out the fact that she went and armed herself with the .38 caliber weapon before she went to the office and made the appointment under an assumed name. And the shooting took place relatively quickly once she was in Emmett's office. So as Lance Corr stated, this was a premeditated execution, shot the man in the heart. This was not an act of, although she was angry, it was not an act of rage. It was clearly thought out and it was planned out. I having appeared before the board many times over the years, yes, she's been there over 40 years, but we have seen offenders that have been there longer and had significantly less write-ups. 111 write-ups, I believe, is extremely significant. I'm concerned about the last one in 2020 being an aggravated fighting. The letter dated July 2nd of 2025 from the Assistant Mental Health Director, Ms. Collins, specifically references Ms. Cobbs having a severe mental illness, and her remission and stability is only referenced as being at a 6-month period. So I am extremely concerned about recommending to the governor that he release this woman who I submit is still in somewhat of a denial as to how premeditated her actions were, who has this severe degree of mental illness and has retaliated against someone in her past for doing something that she felt as if, was wrong. We respectfully ask that a recommendation not be made to the governor, that she be released. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Cobbs, your case was assigned to Mr. Freeman. Would you answer any questions, please?
Okay, Ms. Cobb, how long after the court hearing did this event take place?
I don't understand what you're saying, sir.
How long after you went to court, lost your kids, did you make the appointment and shoot the victim?
Sir, after we went to court and my children was awarded to my ex-husband,
Correct.
I spent months trying to
Okay.
find another attorney.
Okay, so this wasn't the next week or nothing, this was months later. Were you very frustrated because you couldn't find another attorney?
Sir, I was depressed. I was distraught. And I was in torment over the fact that my ex-husband had been given custody of my children.
And
I'm
if
sorry. I'm sorry for my actions.
You were an hour late for court?
An hour late for court, sir?
Yeah, you late for court that morning of the custody hearing.
Not to my knowing, sir.
Okay, the records state that you were an hour late. When you got there, they would ask you to sign papers giving up your kids, which you didn't want to do. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have a very good relationship with your children, I see. Is that true? How often y'all communicate?
Well, sir, they visit me on a regular basis.
Okay. You see your grandchildren also?
Yes, sir.
I need to state, as we saw, we have strong law enforcement opposition, also strong victim opposition, but we have both sides from the victim opposition, some in favor, some opposed. Your mental health, Warden, how under control is her mental health? I see she's level 3.
Yeah, she is, she has been stable on her medication and she is medication compliant. So we have not had any recent issues or concerns at this point.
And I saw, maybe I was looking, but at one place they said that she had 121 write-ups, other 111. How many actual write-ups does she have?
121.
Okay, and when was the last?
2020.
Okay, it was still 2020?
Yes, sir, June of 2020.
Okay, because I saw that, that we didn't have them all. Okay, and, what kind of community service have you done in prison? Have you done anything for other inmates?
Yes, sir. I clean up on the weekend, when the housekeepers are not on duty. I've worked on floors for banquets, stripping floors, mopping floors. On some weekends when the yards were dirty, I've come out and helped sanitize the yards, help clean up the yard, get out the trash and garbage out the yard. Worked in the dorm.
All right, and, were you on drugs or any kind of alcohol the day that you shot, the victim?
No, sir.
So there's no doubt, it does seem like that you knew what you were doing. I mean, were you in a mental rage or what?
Sir, I went there with questions and I didn't know. I didn't have any answers to, and it just, I don't know. I just lost it, sir.
Yeah, I have no further questions, sir. No.
We have a question? All right, I don't see any other questions, Ms. Cobbs. I guess we are prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman?
This is a very, very tough case because you've been in jail 42 years. I know your disciplinary hasn't been great. You are a first offender, and I understand. I mean, going through divorces is tough. I know about them. Child custody is real tough. 42 years. My vote today is going to be commute to 99 years with immediate parole eligibility. We have both sides of the family on either side, and we do have law enforcement opposition, but that's my vote today.
Mr. Tiller?
My vote is also to grant commute to 99 years.
There's a statement.
My vote is deny because it was premeditated. You did go in there, you had the gun when you went in there. I know that you were upset about losing the children, there's no doubt about that. But we all know that that wasn't the answer. And you do have strong law enforcement opposition. Victim opposition is split, that's true too. And you've served 43 years, but you did deliberately take a man's life. So my vote is to deny.
Mr. Prater?
My vote is to deny victim opposition, law enforcement opposition, and the premeditated nature of a very severe violent crime.
All right, Ms. Cobbs, you didn't get the vote you needed today for a favorable recommendation. You got two votes that were favorable, but 2 that were to deny. So the outcome of today's proceeding is your application's been denied, ma'am. Warden, that concludes our business there. We're going to sign off at 12:38. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Please do let us know in the comments what you thought of this video. If you'd like to support what we do here, the best way to do it is to pick up some of our merch. You can find it at courtroomfiles.com.